Good morning, folks. This is Amos A. Nunn, the Black Fact Checker, the Incognito. 2020 MLK's birthday, a national holiday, and the white folks are just losing their minds in homage to a man who at the time of his death, most of them hated. And so on this day, we are going to talk about them. We are going to discuss their problems, their issues, their need to be superior. Forgive the black screen, folks. I'm in an undisclosed location. The Incognito, Amos A. Nunn, of course, not my real name. The play on anonymous, keeping it as clandestine as possible. And folks, on this day, honoring one of our fallen, not a perfect man, but a man who was dedicated to our issues. Fast forward to today, and we have Donald Trump in office. Donald J. Trump, a man who is devoid of principles, character, devoid of simple common decency, a true piece of rancid garbage, a racist, a serial sexual assaulter, a child rapist. I don't care about accusations. He did it. More than likely, he's responsible for Jeffrey Epstein's death because he had all the proof in the world as to these corrupt people's activities. And so today we discuss our condition, our relation to Caucasians in this country. And as you can see, the march in Richmond, Virginia, the worst of them are on the roll. Gun-carrying cowards, scared of their own shadow, trying to figure out how to defend themselves against a non-existent threat that exists only in their disheveled minds. Folks, I'm here to tell you, I need you to understand, we are in a precarious and dangerous situation. I'm going to take you back to the 20s and 30s, 1920s, 1930s in Germany, where Hitler came to power. He did so almost in the like manner as Trump. Most thought he was a buffoon, an idiot, until he gained momentum and gained the popularity needed to take over the country. And then things began to change for Jews in that country. And when I talk about Jews, I'm talking about the Ashkenazi imposters that now occupy our land. Folks, this is not a drill. We are in trouble. And I, for one, will not be the Jew that stayed. Can you imagine in Germany in the 1930s, Jewish people living amongst their neighbors, never thinking for a moment that in the coming years, these neighbors would be as complacent as possible in allowing the German government to round them up and kill them all? And if you don't think that cannot happen in this country, you are sadly and sorely mistaken. It can absolutely happen. I need you to understand, folks, we are at the precipice of a change that will take us into a precarious future. And if you're not ready to depart or hide or evade, escape, defend, whatever may need to happen to ensure your existence and survival, that must happen. And why? Because in short, these Caucasians are losing their minds. They're going insane. And the chief promoter of that insanity is fear, because they are afraid. I often tell people that if you want to get under the skin of white people, in a non-aggressive way, ignore them. Don't smile around them. Act as if they don't exist. And you see how they act. They get real uncomfortable. Real uncomfortable. I don't know. The fact is, folks, we're at a place in history where history may repeat itself. If you don't think that Germany's condition can happen here, cannot happen here, well, you're sadly mistaken. They're primed and ready for it. Gun-toting extremists, idiots, frightened children, liars. These folks have spread their disease around the globe. The disease of greed, the disease of dishonesty, of sexual proclivities, the disease of doing whatever you want to do, the disease of having more than you need, the disease of oppressing people of color and elevating yourself to a position of power, keeping that power and using it to abuse those who you consider are beneath you. That is who they are. They've killed all of their great people. They've killed decent white people. They're done. And if they're not dead, they're silenced. The fact of the matter is, folks, we're in trouble. We have a problem. The only solution is to separate ourselves from these racist, vicious, abhorrent liars, murderers, rapists, enslavers, oppressors, everything that you can imagine, every descriptive I can use. It's time we wake up and understand the gravity of this situation. So, what do white people want? What do white people want? I'll tell you what they want. It's not a bad thing. They want acknowledgement. Acknowledgement that they started this country, and they did. They want credit for what their ancestors did. Give it to them. And lastly, they want a seat at the table of governance as long as this country exists. I don't have a problem with any of that. But they created a country that they said was inclusive. Give us your tired, your poor, your yearning masses. So now, with Donald Trump, with the advent of this creep that we have in the Oval Office, now they want to make America white again. And the fact of the matter is, it's too damned late. Unless and until we convince these creatures that things aren't going to go the way they want them to go. Their birth rates are in decline. Their infant mortality rates are increasing. Their skin cancer deaths, they are diminishing in population, and well so, because they're dangerous and they need to diminish. Here's the truth. For thousands upon thousands of years, this earth was populated by people of color, brown people. Out of nowhere, white people appeared. The Caucasus Mountains, walking on all fours, living with their animals, not having proper names. And as we all know, for those of us that have studied, the Black Moors came up from Spain and civilized these heathens. And upon their civilization, they vowed never to be at the bottom of the food chain again. And they've been successful, but the Creator has a different plan. Their time is only for a little while. In the grand scheme of things, thousands of years, these folks have only been around for just a few thousand. And it appears that their time is short. and they know it, and they're panicking. Here's the thing. I don't want to do anything to white people. I don't want you to think that we should confront. That is a losing proposition. We have unfortunately been structured and put in a position that we don't have that privilege of backing them the fuck off of us. But we do have control over who we associate with. We do have control over who we choose to interact with. And I promote 100% the removal of our presence from theirs. I've not yet met one that is trustworthy. And that, my friends, is their history. They lie. They invaded this country, ripped it from the indigenous population, and then imported a population, enslaved them to do their work. Lazy individuals. And then they talk about how they built a country. I don't care about their building the country. That's fine. But as long as I'm here, as long as you're here, we can either be treated properly, or we can recess into our own communities with our own resources, our own unity, leaving them to themselves. And here's the reason. The warlike attitude that these folks hold is prevalent throughout their genetics. They don't know peace. They have no idea. They hunt, they kill. For them, it's a sport. And when we imitate them, that's when they wag their fingers at us and call us thugs and criminals. Let me explain. We were brought here against our will, stripped of our identity, and handed theirs. Anything that we do is a direct reflection of what they've taught us. And unless and until we stop imitating them, we can make no progress. The only way we can stop imitating them is to keep the fuck away from them. Let's relearn how to behave, having nothing to do with them. Again, I don't want anything to happen to them. I don't wish ill treatment or harm. That's ridiculous. Goes against my principles. But I know when to leave. I know when to leave. You don't want me in your presence. I don't want you in my fucking presence. How about that? And let me tell you something. Nothing makes them more uncomfortable than rejection. I'm telling you this. They're a thirsty group of people in need of acceptance. And until they get their shit together, I promote leaving them to themselves. It's not easy. A lot of us seem hell-bent on maintaining a relationship with our oppressors. And it just appears to me, it seems to me, that we can do better. We can do better, and we can do better by ourselves. If I could convince those of us with means to pool our resources together and create our own closed community, just as they have done everywhere in this country. I recently saw a photo of somewhere in Mississippi, coloreds need to be out of the town by sundown. Sundowner town, 2020. You need to look at what is happening to them, the influence of their kin, for those of you that follow me, is driving them out of their fucking minds. And I don't want to be around them because they're dangerous. So, here's the thing. How do we do this? How do we come together? Because let me explain. The difficulty I've had in unifying us, even just rudimentary, just the agenda community, Association of Geographically Enslaved Negro Descendants of the Americas. That's what I promote, a community for us, by us, and fuck them. Until they get their shit together, have nothing to do with them. And their chief Klansmen in the White House, egging on these horrible, despicable creatures to act out, mad if we're in their presence, calling the police on us for no reason. I'm reading over and over the things that these folks are doing, emboldened by this vile, disgusting creature in the White House. And it's odd that their staunchest supporter of this person, usually blonde-haired, blue-eyed, can do no wrong. I'm trying to figure it out, folks. I'm trying to figure out why any of them would support a man who, if a black person did 1/10 of the things that this man had done, they would jump on him and try to destroy him. But because this man is white, they support him. They excuse him. They pardon him. I can tell you, this is all coming to a head. This is prophetic. But we have a right to survive, and we have a right to be left alone, and we have a right to unify. Herbert Hoover said it, number one threat to the United States is black unity. Well, it's time. It's time. I don't know what to tell you, folks. You're looking around, you're seeing what's going on, you understand the dynamics of the relationship between us and them. And you need to understand this country was not created for us. That's right. And so, with that said, us being stuck here, we need to acknowledge this fact. We need to face facts and accept that there is a turn in reverse with the attitudes of these people. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. And the final target is us. Us. Black people in this country. ADOS. American descendants of slaves. What will unify us? What we have to do is remove the attitudes that we have inherited from our oppressors. We have to call things as they are. They don't mean us any good. They don't have our best interests at heart. In fact, the opposite is true. While they, in our face, smile and tell us that we can do well, behind the scenes, they do everything to oppress us. It's systematic oppression. I, for one, have had enough. It doesn't appear that they will change. It only appears that they will revert to their former abhorrent selves. And what I don't want is for brothers and sisters to be caught unaware, not understanding that these people, if they get their way, will have no problem rounding us up and putting us somewhere. We represent less than 12% of this population. So, I, for one, on this day, plead with every one of you. When you see a brother and a sister on the street, when you smile at them, interact with them positively. Be kind, be respectful. They've ingrained in us an aggression toward each other that is hard to break. So, Martin Luther King Day. The very country that killed him celebrates his birthday. How ironic. The FBI tweeted some positive message, and the same FBI at the time of King's death beforehand had encouraged that he kill himself and sent recordings supposedly of him having sex with other women to Coretta. How can any of you be supportive of this government as it is? I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine. So here's the thing. When the time comes, and you will know it, each of you needs to have a plan of escape, evade, defend, a guerrilla plan. Read books. Try to be somewhere else when this all falls off the rails. And it will. They are being charged up. As Barack Obama said, they are being ginned up. And most people didn't catch that. When he said that these folks are being ginned up, that capital Jinned refers, of course, to the Islamic reference of demons. And for those of you that follow my podcast, and those of you that follow the articles that I've written, it's their kin. It's the reason they're so easily influenced. Be alert. Keep your head on a swivel. Understand where we are at in history. It will only get worse. And at the point in time, these white people feel we don't have any defense, that's when they will strike. And I keep telling my folks that every day. The only thing that keeps these Neanderthals from bothering us is the fact that we have recourse. We can call the police, we can defend ourselves, but at the moment we don't have that recourse, that's when they will make their move. And my advice is that you are somewhere else, because these folks are not playing. You look at what's happening in Richmond, Virginia today. That motivational fear that puts these white men on the streets trying to intimidate people with the thing they love the best, their guns, the ability to take life. Yeah, I have no respect for them. So, Martin Luther King. What a day, folks. What a day. I'm Amos A. Nunn, the Black Fact Checker, the incognito from an undisclosed location. You have a good day.